Welcome to Cinema Bites. Your go-to for movie recaps in a flash. Big twists, epic moments, all in just minutes. The movie starts in 1945. We see two American soldiers returning to their homeland after World War II. Moments later, they realize something strange is happening in the sky. They discover they have entered the Bermuda Triangle. The plane's systems start to fail, and suddenly, they see a massive bird attacking their plane. The two soldiers are forced to jump from the aircraft, opening their parachutes. The first soldier lands safely on the island. The second soldier, however, lands in the water, and suddenly, a massive crocodile emerges and devours him. The soldier on the island witnesses this and ends up alone on the island filled with giant creatures. Years pass, and we transition to the present day. A plane is flying over the Bermuda Triangle. The passengers have no idea what is about to happen to them. We are introduced to one of the passengers named Hao, who is traveling with his daughter Lynn. Hao is not pleased with Lynn's boyfriend Shane, who is also on the plane. He questions Lynn about how long she has known Shane, but Lynn responds rudely to her father. Hao glares angrily at Shane. Before Hao can confront him, the plane begins to shake violently. All the passengers panic and quickly put on oxygen masks. Things worsen when the pilots realize the plane's systems have failed. They are forced to attempt a gentle landing, heading toward the nearest island. As they descend, they spot massive birds ahead. The birds cause damage to the plane, destroying the engine. The plane crashes rapidly into the ocean. The pilots try to control the aircraft as much as they can, but part of the plane is destroyed, and passengers are thrown out. Hao tries desperately to reach his daughter and finally manages to sit beside her and fasten her seatbelt. The plane crashes into the water and skids along the surface. The pilots are shocked to see massive rocks ahead. The plane collides with the rocks, causing the cockpit to explode, and the passenger section is flung away. The passengers lose consciousness. Hao wakes up after some time, rescues his daughter, and takes her to the island. They find that only a few passengers have survived, while many have perished. The survivors are shocked to discover that their water supply is almost depleted and that there is no network signal on the island, leaving them with no means of escape. Hao, Shane, and another man decide to explore the island. After walking for a while, they find a small house covered in trees. Inside, they discover a knife, which Hao takes, and a journal from the World War II era. The third man, an English teacher, interprets the writings in the journal and learns that the island is filled with giant monsters. Realizing the danger, they rush back to the beach to warn the others. Meanwhile, back at the beach, a man named Fang is arguing with the plane's attendant over a bottle of water. Another man, Li, intervenes and stops Fang, even hitting him in the face. The two men fight and fall to the ground, while the attendant tries to calm them down. No one else intervenes. Li's pregnant wife steps in and manages to calm her husband, but Fang is still angry and pushes the attendant into the water. The people on the beach notice something approaching in the water. Suddenly, a crocodile appears and devours the attendant. Everyone witnesses the horrifying scene and starts running in panic. More crocodiles emerge onto the beach, attacking and eating those who couldn't escape in time. Moments later, Hao and his group return to the beach, shocked to find no one there. They see crocodile tracks and believe some people might still be alive, so they set out to find them. Meanwhile, the survivors are still running from the crocodiles chasing them. The crocodiles are fast and manage to catch and eat several people. The group splits into two, each heading in a different direction. The group with Li and his pregnant wife reaches a quiet area and discovers fresh water, which they drink. Soon, they hear noises from the forest, but it turns out to be Hao and his group. Shane tells Lynn he has brought a hammer to kill the crocodiles when they appear. Hao sarcastically responds that Shane couldn't even kill a chicken. The ground starts shaking, and loud noises fill the air. Everyone freezes in fear, unaware that a massive crocodile had been hiding behind the rocks all along. The giant crocodile emerges in its full size, climbing onto the rocks. It approaches one of its victims, glaring angrily. The man is so terrified that he loses control of himself. The crocodile devours the man as the others watch helplessly. The group runs away immediately, but the crocodile chases them. It leaps toward Hao to attack him, but Hao manages to escape at the last moment. The crocodile then spots a woman trapped between the rocks and devours her in one bite. The rest of the group manages to escape and reach safety. Hao leads them to the house they found earlier and tells them they will hide there for the time being. As Shane tries to enter, Hao stops him, sarcastically reminding him of his earlier claim about killing crocodiles. Hao assigns Shane to guard the house while they sleep in case any crocodiles appear. Hao, injured from his earlier escape, uses gunpowder from bullets his daughter found to cauterize his wound, enduring immense pain. At night, the group gathers around a fire as Hao ties ropes around the house to keep the crocodiles out. They eat the remaining food from the plane. Later, Hao and the English teacher are startled when a human skeleton falls from a tree. They believe it belonged to the person who wrote the journal they found. The next morning, while everyone is asleep, Hao ventures out to find food for the group, especially his daughter. His daughter wakes up to find food, and on the other side, Fang was still alive, and with him was someone named Lichi. Lichi wanted to film and document what was happening on the island so she could post the videos online when she returned to her country and become famous. She finds herself stepping on a very sticky substance and slipping on something that releases the sticky material. Her entire face gets covered in it, and she doesn't know what it is. She asks Fang to help her wipe it off, but Fang is disgusted and refuses. So she walks off to clean herself, unaware that the thing she bumped into was a giant spider egg that hadn't hatched yet. Meanwhile, Lin wakes up and leaves the place to look for her father. They discover they are surrounded by giant insects, and the air is filled with smoke. Lin wakes up the others to escape quickly before they get eaten, because the house they were in was not sturdy and could easily collapse. They manage to leave and move quietly through the smoke to avoid attracting the insects' attention. Luckily, the insects were asleep, but one of the humans gets some insect fluid on his head. At that moment, the giant insect wakes up and eats the person. The team witnesses what happened and realizes all the insects are now awake and heading toward them. Without much thought, they start running, with the insects chasing after them. They scream, and their voices attract more insects. As they run through the forest, they encounter a giant spider blocking their path. The spider begins attacking them with its legs, but fortunately the teacher appears and distracts the spider. The spider leaves them and goes after the teacher, but the group doesn't have time to catch their breath because more spiders are approaching. They run in terror, and Lin gets caught in a spider web. Everyone stops to help her, freeing her from the web, and they continue running. Eventually, they manage to escape the insects and hide under some plants, hoping the spiders will go away. They hear someone approaching. It's Hao. Hao notices insects on the trees and screams to attract their attention, luring them away to give his teammates a chance to escape. Hao successfully distracts them and escapes from the spiders, running back to the house where he finds the teacher. But they didn't know a spider was waiting outside, setting a trap. The two were waiting for the right moment to leave, but suddenly, the spider attacks from behind, injuring the teacher. Hao fights back, cutting off part of the spider's legs. The spider retreats, but the teacher is gravely injured and dies within seconds. Hao is left alone, with the spider waiting above the house. The spider attacks again, smashing into the walls and breaking them. It grabs Hao by the leg, trying to finish him off, but Hao manages to escape and runs as fast as he can. He throws the bomb he took from his daughter at the spider, causing it to explode and die. On the other side, the team survives and escapes the spider area completely, reaching a small river they need to cross to get to the other side. Kicks her several times to make her let go. The crocodile ends up eating her entirely. The story returns to the team walking through the forest, where they unexpectedly find the remains of a crashed plane. It seems to belong to the soldiers who died at the very beginning. They search the wreckage for anything useful and find a weapon and a working transmitter. Lin uses the transmitter to contact someone and ask for help. Someone responds, and Lin gives them their exact location. The person on the other end promises to send rescue planes. The team feels hopeful that they might survive and heads quickly toward the beach. Along the way, they encounter Fang. The team doesn't trust Fang at all, but they have no other choice and let him join them. Hao warns Fang to stay away from his daughter and not try anything deceitful. The team eventually reaches a large river they need to cross. Since the pregnant woman, Jia, can't swim, the team helps her by building a raft from plants. Hao volunteers to pull her across the river. After successfully reaching the other side, the rest of the team enters the water and swims across. Everything seems calm and things are going according to plan, but Hao becomes worried when he spots the giant crocodile nearby. The group becomes terrified and swims quickly. Lin and Shen manage to reach the other side. Fang panics and starts swimming in the opposite direction. Lei, who was still in the water, pushes his wife's raft to the shore but realizes there's no hope as the crocodile gets closer. Lei sacrifices himself for his wife, and the crocodile eats him. Jia screams and cries for her husband. Fang joins the group, and the crocodile turns its attention toward them. Fang shoots at the crocodile with the weapon they found, giving the rest of the team a chance to escape. However, the gunfire has no effect on the crocodile. It comes ashore and chases them. Fang tries to stop the crocodile, continuing to shoot at it, but it's useless. He narrowly escapes the crocodile's jaws multiple times, but the crocodile shifts its focus to chasing the rest of the team. They split into two groups, and Fang trips and falls. Lin sees him and decides to go back to help him, but the cowardly Fang pushes her toward the crocodile and runs away. The crocodile notices her and moves closer to her, but Hao appears and unleashes a torrent of gunfire on the crocodile. The crocodile gets distracted with Hao, who keeps firing repeatedly. The crocodile focuses entirely on Hao, allowing Lin to take the opportunity to escape. The repeated gunfire eventually causes damage to the crocodile, and its skin begins to weaken. However, by mistake, a bullet hits Feng's leg, causing him to fall to the ground. The crocodile notices Feng on the ground and moves toward him. Lin accidentally gets tangled with the crocodile's leg, and Feng suddenly suffers a heart attack from the immense pressure he feels, collapsing to the ground. The crocodile easily devours Feng's body. The crocodile leaves with Lin clinging to it. Night falls, and they manage to track the crocodile's movements to its cave. Hao decides to enter the cave with the others. They proceed cautiously inside the cave and find the crocodile asleep. Shen orders Jia to leave the cave, but before leaving, Jia notices remains of her husband's body on the ground, causing her to break down in tears. Her crying awakens the crocodile, putting the group in danger. However, Jia calms down and stops crying just in time. Hao then searches for his daughter, remaining cautious of the monster. Hao eventually finds Lin still alive and takes her to escape. But before they leave, Shen notices the monster is no longer in its place and realizes it's right behind him. This becomes a major problem, and Shen freezes in place like a statue due to the situation. Hao, with no other choice, opens fire on the crocodile to save himself and everyone else. Shen grabs Lin and escapes the cave while the crocodile heads toward Hao. Hao runs deeper into the cave with the crocodile chasing him. Hao manages to hide in a small crevice, escaping the crocodile's jaws. Meanwhile, Shen takes Lin out of the cave and hands her over to Jia. He decides to return to rescue Hao, taking a hammer with him. Hao runs out of places to hide, and the crocodile is about to devour him. Hao runs in desperation without a plan and eventually enters a small tunnel. He keeps firing at the crocodile's face, but the bullets are ineffective. Hao runs out of ammunition and realizes he dropped the grenade he had in the tunnel. At that moment, Shen arrives, and Hao orders him to quickly find the grenade before the crocodile destroys the entrance and devours him. Shen searches for the grenade and manages to find it. He returns to the crocodile and throws the hammer at it, causing the crocodile to focus on Shen. This gives Hao a chance to escape. The crocodile begins chasing Shen, who removes the grenade's pin and throws it at the crocodile. A massive explosion occurs, shaking the cave and causing significant damage to the crocodile. The crocodile falls to the ground, seemingly dead. After witnessing what happened, Hao approaches Shen and tells him, "I was wrong. You turned out to be a very brave boy." But before they leave, they realize the crocodile is still alive. Hao grabs a knife and falls from the rocks, attacking the crocodile from below. The attack is enough to finally kill the crocodile. It collapses to the ground and dies for real this time. Shen helps pull Hao out from under the crocodile. Hao is alive, and they both leave the cave together, reuniting with Lin and Jia. They leave the dangerous area and reach the shore. At that moment, rescue helicopters arrive to pick them up. And that's the end of the episode. Don't forget to hit the like button and help us reach 8,000 likes for this episode. If you made it to the end, leave a crocodile emoji in the comments so I know who enjoyed the episode.